Welcome to your feature interview on Emory and Henry Reports, and as promised, a very fascinating Emory and Henry student. Though I mentioned earlier in the open, I mentioned it wrong. You were in Brazil throughout the fall semester. But anyways, Jessie Daddio joining us here on EHC-TV. Jessie, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So yeah, I believe it was about 3.5 months you spent in Brazil. Just talk about the opportunity. How were you able to make this trip?
Okay, well, I wanted to do a study abroad, and I didn't want to do the traditional go to a school in another country kind of thing. I kind of want to experience the raw aspects of a country, and I'd heard about the National Outdoor Leadership School through a few friends, and decided I'd look into it, started looking more into the camps they have kind of all throughout the world, and came across Brazil and their course in the Amazon, and I don't know, it just kind of struck a chord with me, and I decided to go for it.
So Brazil, that is that's quite the culture shock, I would say, going from here to there. What was that like, transitioning from the day-to-day life of someone in the United States to someone in Brazil?
Well, there, I mean, like I said, I wasn't really doing the traditional go-to-school kind of thing. We were hiking and canoeing for 3.5 months. So, you know, your average day, you wake up really early. I mean, it was their summer then. So you wake up really early, kind of like 5 in the morning, start hiking or start canoeing, whatever you're doing, and then you do that until about like 5 or 6 at night, and that's pretty much the day, all day, every day.
Oh, wow. So you were hiking where exactly in Brazil, like throughout the Amazon? Or?
Yeah, well, we had a few different sections. The first section we canoed on the Rio Juruena for 32 days. And then we had a jungle bushwhacking section for a week, and then we did another 19-day hike. And then we also had a cultural section for a week.
So what were some of the biggest challenges? Obviously, there's hiking involved. It's the Amazon, so it's obviously dangerous. What were some of the greatest challenges?
I would definitely say the bugs. That was the biggest thing for me. I'm not really much of a bug person, but you kind of had to be when you went there. I mean, I've never seen so many bugs in my entire life, and I probably never will because it's the Amazon. So that was definitely a big challenge, and your level of tolerance definitely increases as you go throughout the months. But I guess the only other thing would be the heat. I mean, there's just such a humid, hot heat, and by 10 o'clock in the morning it was close to 100 degrees. So I mean, you're dealing with some pretty intense heat, dehydration stuff kind of on a regular basis. So
you mentioned bugs, and you kept it at that. You left it at bugs, and me, I'm thinking, okay, well, ladybugs get in my light fixtures in my dorm room, stink bugs every now and then, but I'm guessing that they're not those type of bugs that you were experiencing in the Amazon.
Not quite. They had these little annoying things called pumes, which are these gnats that seriously just like your eyes. And I mean, they will live in your eyes until you get them out of there. And mosquitoes, I mean, you can like wave your hand like this across just the air and like feel the wall of mosquitoes at night. And they would follow you in your tent, and you'd have to spend like 30 minutes every night killing all the mosquitoes before you went to bed, so you wouldn't wake up with like bug bites all over your face. And yeah, pretty intense stuff, and really intense like hornets. Like our mascot is the hornet, but over there they're wasps, and their wasps are like 3 inches long. I mean, and I got stung on the thumb once, and I felt it all the way up in my shoulder. I mean, it was like a huge wasp.
Wow, that's
intense.
Incredible.
Yeah.
You also mentioned the heat, risks of dehydration. Did you ever run into any very, very close calls, I would say?
Yeah, we weren't allowed to hike in the heat of the day, which the heat of the day for them is from 12 to about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, maybe 3 or 4. But we did have to hike during the heat of the day in a few instances. And there's the first day in our last hiking section, we had to hike uphill for, I mean, like 100 meters for a while, and it was straight bushwhacking, really thick stuff. And one girl, you know, kind of was out of shape, and she kind of didn't hydrate as much as she should have that day, and she fell out pretty quickly, and it was kind of serious. We had to stop, you know, put her under some shade, get her some water. It was kind of scary, but she was fine. I mean, we just gave her some rehydration salt, and she was good to go. But
so how many people were in the group? Like, what kind of number were you going with at any given time?
There were 10 students, and then usually like 2 to 3 instructors, so like 13 kind of max. So.
And what about like living arrangements? Where did you stay?
Well, for the canoeing section and then the second hiking section, we lived in hammocks. Or no, we lived in tents. And then for our bushwhacking section, we lived just in hammocks. And in our cultural section too, we each had our own hammock, and you just kind of like hung it up wherever you could. So yeah, it was nice. I miss living in a hammock, honestly.
Did you guys encounter some of the native life? I'm sure you did at some points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, on the river section, our last day actually, we stopped off at this community of Apiakas. It's like a native tribe, and I mean, we're the only white people they ever see, ever. So it was really cool to kind of interact with them and see how they lived. They're interesting because they're much different now, but before they had the whole intervention with missionaries, they were the tribe that cut people's heads off and wore their heads on the belts. You know, they were that kind of tribe, but they're a lot different now, and they're a lot nicer now, but it was just kind of cool to like see their history and like learn about them and stuff, so it was really amazing.
Well, Jessie, I know that you've also talked about your experiences with Jim Harrison on WEHC, and by way of him, I understand that you've got quite the number of stories from this trip. What would you say one, maybe two of your favorite stories are?
Well, definitely one I like to brag about is I got shocked by an electric eel. Like, it seems like a big deal, but it was not that big of a deal. I mean, it was just kind of, you know, I felt my foot going kind of asleep, and I looked down, and there's this 6-foot eel right beside me. I was like, oh gosh. But other than that, we had a near miss with a girl. We were camping at the top of this huge waterfall, and it rained overnight. And they kind of warned us about some flash flood issues, but we never really had any problems. And basically, as we're totally packed up, we hear the roar of the flash flood coming. And within 5 seconds, this little stream turns into like a raging river. And we had to cross the stream, and this one girl fell about 4 feet from the edge of the waterfall and could have very easily gone off the edge. And yeah, this other guy jumped in after her, and so we had 2 people in the water, and it was very, very frantic. But we got both of them out. No mishaps or anything, so it was a close call, but all was well.
So Jessie, obviously it was quite the transition going from here to there. And you mentioned you kind of miss living in a hammock. What's the transition been like coming back from Brazil to the United States and being a regular student again?
Just a different set of responsibilities and different sense of stress. Like over there, you have to worry about where you're going to put your tent, like in an area that's not going to get eaten by leafcutter ants or termites. And here it's like, when am I getting my paper in on time? And, you know, like, what am I going to eat? I mean, everything just seems so more regular out there than it does here, which is weird to think about, because here it seems like there's just so much going on. But over there, I mean, everything just seemed simpler. And I don't know, it's a different way of living, and I definitely miss it. But it's good to be back, I think, so.
So speaking of your studies here at Emory Henry College, it's been brought to my attention that you have sort of not a fake major, but a major you created on your own. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Fake major, yeah, it's creative communications, which it's actually a minor here. But yeah, I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life, and I'm really into photography, photojournalism kind of stuff. And they brought to my attention the minor, and I thought, why can't I just make it a major? So I made it into a major. It's creative communications. It's basically photojournalism. So.
Well, great. That's fantastic, and we wish you the best of luck in pursuing those studies, and we want to thank you for joining us.
Awesome. Thank you.
That's it for your feature interview. I know we're all impatiently awaiting the finished construction of the Brooks Fieldhouse. One of EHC-TV's very own went down to check out their progress. Here's Drew Piscopo. He has this week's Out and About.